Hey, what's up guys, Dust is here and I'm back with another Dune Awakening video. And I know a lot of you are probably thinking, wait, didn't you say you were done with this game? Yeah, almost 2 weeks ago I told you goodbye. I was frustrated, PvP wasn't in a good place, there were bugs everywhere, the clunkiness made fights a chore instead of something fun, and I just didn't feel like the game was moving in a direction I could enjoy. So I stepped away, I said my goodbyes, made peace with it and moved on. But then this patch dropped. People in the official Discord have been buzzing about it for days, some even got on the public test server early to try it. I didn't have figured why bother, but then my friends started telling me, Dusty, you have to check it out. It's different now, a lot of things have changed. It's good to give it a try. So I jumped back in today and yeah, there's a lot to unpack. And let me tell you, the first thing I noticed might be the single most important thing for anyone who likes PvP. The very first thing I noticed, when I loaded in, the game feels smoother. And when I say smoother, I don't just mean a tiny little FPS bump, I mean the overall flow. Menus respond quicker, the camera responds faster, moving your character feels less heavy, and in fights, your actions connect more cleanly, which means lesser desync. Before this patch 2 or 3 weeks ago, PvP felt clunky. There were constant little spikes, not always full lag, but those small hitches that mess with your timing. You would line up a swing or aim for a perfect dodge and the game would stutter just enough to mess you up. And I don't care how good you are, if the game engine fights you, you're gonna lose fights you should have won. Now you might not see the difference watching this video because YouTube caps it at 60 FPS, but if you hop in yourself, you will feel it right away, and for PvP this is huge. It changed the confidence you have going into a fight because you know your inputs are going to land the way you intended. And the smoothness isn't the only thing that feels better right now, even the times you spent just getting from one place to another has changed. Load times, yeah, they are faster. This isn't something you'll notice every 5 minutes because in Dune Awakening you're not constantly hitting loading screens, but if you have done those long transport runs, especially at the end of the week when the deep desert resets and you've got to move your stuffs from deep desert to Haga Basin, you know how much of a drag it could be. And speaking of his survival side of things and base, I had a little incident with my base recently that completely changed how I'm set up right now. So about a week ago, maybe 4 days, I lose track. I log in randomly and there's a guy sitting inside my base, taking my stuff. Energy wasn't down, so technically he shouldn't be able to do that. I've heard there are ways to destroy someone's subfif and replace it to gain access, but I don't know if they have fixed it in this patch or not, but I hope they do, because the guy was Russian, so I had to go into Google Translate trying to figure out what he's already taken and trying to keep the situation calm as well, you know. Eventually he just leaves without wrecking my base or taking more stuff. The only thing he said, I'm looking for something specific, and that's what he said actually. But that was enough for me. I tore the whole base down, fabricators, generators, everything, and shrunk it to the bare minimum so I could store everything safely. Now I'm basically on a standby to rebuild when the time feels right or any good patch drops. And one of the big reasons I've even considered rebuilding, PvP feels better right now. For a lot of players, the real reason to come back to this game is simple. PvP. PvE has its own set of challenges, sure, but if the competitive side isn't solid, there's not much incentive to rebuild, log in daily, or sink hours into progression. Right now, PvP is in a better spot, not perfect but noticeably improved, and that alone makes it important to talk about it. It was one of the biggest reasons many left in the first place. The player base has evolved, those who stuck around are sharper, faster, and more strategic. The skill floor has risen, making fights more intense and rewarding for dedicated PvP players, but also creating a steeper climb for newer or more casual competitors. Mechanically, some balance changes make sense, but others are really baffling. For example, daggers now stagger when you parry, despite never being dominant in the meta, meanwhile rapiers remain untouched and extremely strong. Melee overall is becoming rare. The battlefield is dominant by ranged loadouts, disruptor pistols, ancient ways, and high damage rockets, leaving melee as a secondary, almost decorative choice. It works, but it creates a one-dimensional combat feel. Bugs are still part of the equation, Suspensor Blast remains broken, knee charge still misbehaves, and large-scale fights are uncommon, usually one dominant guild crushing a smaller force. But here's the upside, combat feels smoother. That alone sparks the urge to experiment with builds again. If improvements continue, PvP could reach a state players actually want to invest in again. But enough talking about PvP, let's talk about the look and feel of the game because some of those changes surprised me. So visually they have made some nice tweaks. My favorite one is the floating blue particles you see near shipwrecks. It's a small touch, but it adds life to areas that used to feel kinda empty. It's the sort of things you might not notice in the middle of a fight, but if you're out there exploring, it makes the world feel more alive. But not every change is great, right? They altered how players look when they're using a suspensor build at long range. Before you could see them clearly and try to snipe them mid-air, now they're just a shadowy, ghosty shape, whatever, which makes them harder to hit. Combine that with the fact that the flyaway to escape tactic is still common, and yeah, I'm not loving the change. And while we're talking about changes that still need work, there are some systems they haven't touched at all. For example, chest spawn timers. Yeah, same. And I don't like it. I already talked about this. This is one of the biggest issues. Certain exploits still exist in the game. People still dupe items. People still repair their stuffs with the bug. No new content yet. So yeah, there's works to do. But I'm cautiously optimistic because they've said they want to drop big updates every 3 to 4 months. Based on the timeline, we might be about 20 days out from something major. Maybe even the world map change, maybe something new add to the game. I already talked about that roadmap in my last video. That could be huge for bringing people back, and if that happens, I'll be here to see how it plays out. So that's my full experience coming back to Dune Awakening after this patch. It's not perfect, but it's better. The smoothness and performance alone makes a big difference, and faster load times helps too. I'm not going all in with daily uploads yet, but I've got ideas, best builds, weapon tiers, PvP tips, farming guides, armor compression, but I want to hear from you. What do you want first? Do you still have hope for Dune Awakening? I've been away from the community for a while and I missed you guys, but it's good to be back, even if it's just to see where these roads lead. Love you guys, thanks for watching, much love, and as always, peace out.